So far I have reviewed two Heljan steam locomotives. The first one was absolutely terrible and the second one was pretty good, so this one is going to be the decider. So to start with today, I've got a bit of a shock for you, so put away your breakables and sit down because I'm going to tell you the RRP of today's model. And the RRP is £159.95. So right now you're probably thinking, oh, what's he got? Maybe it's another Garrett or something large like that. Maybe it's a large tender engine, perhaps. Maybe Heljan have brought out a new diesel. No, it's this, a tiny little 1361 tank engine from the Great Western. Now, just to put that price into perspective for you, that is £65 more than the RRP of this, the Hornby Terrier. It's also £50 more than the RRP of this, which was largely die-cast. It is £45 more expensive than the RRP of this, the Oxford N7, which is a considerably larger engine, loads of die-cast, fantastic runner, etc, etc. And it's even £30 more expensive than the RRP of this, the Bachmann E1, which even I thought at that price was pretty overpriced. So needless to say, the expectations for this new Heljan Loco that I've got are incredibly high. In fact, even if it is a really decent model, I don't know if I will be that impressed, because what can you expect for that kind of money? To my mind, any Wally can go to China and produce a really good steam locomotive. It just depends how much it costs. The real skill is in finding ways to do these models for a reasonable price. However, perhaps I'm being rather unreasonable. This could be the best Heljan steam locomotive I've ever seen, or in fact the best steam locomotive I've ever seen, full stop, given the price. But in order for it to fulfill that, it's going to have die-cast on it, it's going to have the firebox glow, it's going to have to be a wonderful performer, ultra detailed. Everything about this has got to be perfect. Are Heljan capable of that? No, not in my opinion, but we're going to find out today. Now, needless to say, I didn't spend 160 quid on this because Rails of Sheffield have these in the sale for £99.50. All I'm going to say about that is that if they could sell them for more, no doubt they would have done. So that speaks volumes. Anyway, if you dare try one of these, I've got a link down in the description. But for the time being, let's get this out. Fascinated to see what this one's going to be like. Yeah, really no idea what to expect with this. Let's get it out and see. Okay, well, let's talk about this then. So it's in the sort of standard Heljan packaging. Must be said, it's not even as good as Dapple's. We haven't got the solid cardboard box or anything, but you know, that's immaterial, isn't it, really? If I show you the end of the box, you can see which version I went for. Mine is 1302 Great Western 060 saddle tank, number 1364 in Great Western green. Yes, and I think they do a few other liveries of this as well. There's nothing really to see on the box, no info on the back. There probably will be, perhaps, on instructions inside. But for now, we'll get this out and just find out what's so special about this. I really do want to know. I've not had this out of the box yet, so I really have genuinely no idea what these are like. I'm hoping excellent, obviously. If they're anything other, I'm not going to be happy, because even £99 is a lot for a Loco this size. Anyway, so here we have instructions for the Great Western / BR1361 class. Okay, let's have a look. So, oh yes, we have got some information on the prototype, so if I get that in shot, you can pause it and read it if you'd like to. Then we've got a little bit over here, it says removing the body shell, DCC operation, yeah, that's fine. And yeah, we've got some photos of the underside there. It looks like we've got screws, so it's not all clipped together, which is good. Exactly what you'd expect though for the money. Oh, and this is cool. On the back, you've got this exhaustive parts list, which looks, yeah, quite impressive, is that? 133 parts listed there. Wow, crazy stuff. So yeah, that's interesting. I might give that a read more thoroughly when it's time to get this thing running. But for the time being, let's open this up and find out what it's like. All right, nice tight fit. Standard packaging seems to do the job. We'll see if it's done the job, won't we? Okay, a couple of bags here for detail, so let's look at bag the first. So here it seems we have some couplings for the front and back of the model. I'm hoping those are going to stay in properly, unlike some of my Heljan Locos. And then we have some what look like fireman's tools, perhaps. Anyway, bag the second, let's take a look inside here. We have what looks like a broken piece of green plastic. Yeah, not sure what that green thing is. But we've also got some lamps in there, which look pretty good. They've been painted up as well. So yeah, it's nice that we've got lamps in there. I'll put those somewhere safe so that I don't lose them. Right, let's find out then. How does it feel? Well, it does feel pretty heavy. I think there's a good chance we will get some die cast on this. Well, I should darn well hope so. But let's find out for sure. Here we go. All right, there it is. It does look nice, doesn't it? It looks pretty good. Okay, lifting it out. Here we go. All right, so first impressions, not bad. It feels as though it's on the heavy side. Right, let's do the die-cast test. And no, it seems that the Loco, well at least the saddle tanks and the cab and the smoke box are not die-cast, they are plastic. So that is strike one. Absolutely ludicrous that we haven't got more die-cast than that. It must be said though that the lower portion of the body slash chassis, whatever you want to call it, is definitely die-cast. The running plate here is heavy die-cast, which is good. And it even feels as though the cylinders here are, which is really, really good. One thing I can notice straight away though is that the wheels look absolutely awful. I've really got a pet hate about being able to see axles like that unpainted. So yeah, it looks like a reasonably detailed model, I must say, but at the moment I'm not seeing anything that would even nearly justify that massive price. Anyway, here's a bit of history on the class. I will take a good close look at this and I'll let you know exactly what I think, and we'll take a look at some of the details. The 1361 class was introduced in 1910 when 5 examples were produced at Swindon Works to the design of George Jackson Churchward. They were intended for shunting duties around docks and they were therefore designed to negotiate extremely tight curves. Interestingly, many aspects of the design were pretty old-fashioned at the time, as it was based on an earlier 1392 class, which was built nearly 40 years previously. They supposedly had Allen valve gear, which is not something I'm familiar with. They had round-topped fireboxes and saddle tanks. When more of the design were built in 1934, many of these dated elements were discarded, and such builds were fitted with Belpaire fireboxes, pannier tanks, and I think they were differently classified. They were not 1361s. Nonetheless, all 5 1361s survived for over 50 years, although only one of them remains in preservation. Alright, so there it is then, the Heljan 1361 class, and I've got to laugh because if I'm being completely honest, I'm getting low-key triggered by this. The quality is abysmal, the quality control must be non-existent, and the finish on this is absolutely laughable. The thought that Heljan were charging £159.95 for this is laughable. To think that I sat here and criticised the Bachmann E1 for being too expensive, given how beautiful that was overall, and then looking at this, knowing that it's £30 more expensive and the quality is as bad as it is just shocking. So let's take a look at some of this. Yeah, prepare to be amazed and not in a good way. So first of all, the saddle tanks. We've got these massive sort of marks all over it. It looks like lubricant, but I've tried to rub them off and they are not going anywhere. Second of all, look at the glue marks around these pipes which have been fitted. Absolutely terrible. That's on this side. On the other side, the pipes are on the wonk. There is no glue marks, but look how badly they've been moulded. They look terrible. They look like they belong on a 50 quid toy train set, not on a 160 quid model. Crazy, crazy stuff. Look at the scraping along the running plate here, really dreadful. And look at the steps. There's like, looks like there's bits of metal just stuck to the steps, not even been scraped off the thing. Really awful. Look at the cylinders. What is going on there? It looks like they've melted. Has the cylinder head got too hot and melted the cylinder housing? And there's chips all over it as well. There's like chunks missing out of the cylinders, and there's big chips out of the firebox as well, by the way. You can see there are areas where the paint's missing. In fact, the underside of the boiler has large areas of missing paint. I mean, didn't anybody look at these before they left the factory? I've already noticed the wheels. When have steam locomotive wheels ever looked like that in real life, with the axles poking through? Yeah, it's making me cross actually, because that is an incredible amount of money. I've never spent that kind of money on a little tank engine before, and here it is looking like this. It's just laughable. The buffers are so badly moulded. You can see there's these huge seam lines that go all the way down them. Some of them have it, some of them don't, so they're not even consistent. The buffers are sprung, which is a good thing, but the finish on the actual buffer heads themselves is horrendous. It looks like they've been weathered, although this is supposed to be pristine. There's gigantic gaps around separately fitted parts. This dome here looks like it's literally just been glued on. Oh, there's a clue. It must have been. I just cannot believe it. Even for £99, I'm feeling a little bit cross about this. Now, there are some positives. I mean, it is a well-detailed model. As you can see, they've at least attempted to fit a lot of detail to it, most of it badly. The weight is pretty good, 189 grams. That is a bit heavier than the E1 from Bachmann as a result of this thick and frankly horrible-looking running board, but there is a lot of weight to that, which must be said. Right, let's get positive then. I won't take long, I promise. There is the handrails, I guess, which are separately fitted. They at least look to be reasonably well done. The paintwork is okay as well. As you can see, the printed Great Western logo on the side of the tanks there is fine, as is the running number on the side of the cab. And the side of the cabs are all right. As you can see, we've got the pre-fitted cab doors, which is good, and we have the handrails too, which is all right. I think the back of the coal bunker is pretty good as well. As you can see, we have these separately fitted brackets, which are at least sturdily done. They're one of the few things that are actually staying on the model without any visible glue. The buffer beams are good as well. Yeah, as you can see, we've got lots of fittings on here. We have the 3-link couplings and the vacuum pipes pre-fitted. The coal in the bunker itself looks really poor, doesn't it? As you can see, not very realistic at all, and big gaps around where it's just fitted in. It just looks like a separately fitted piece. Hopefully it will be removable so that you can do away with it if you want the model to look reasonably realistic, although I think it's beyond hope, really. The cab detail itself I would describe as, well, not even half-arsed, it's probably quarter-arsed or something like that. Yeah, there are 1 or 2 elements that have been picked out, but none of the gauges have been painted or anything like that. Yeah, it doesn't even look that great. Glazed windows, yeah, we've got those. Underneath the boiler, hey, we're getting negative again, but yeah, underneath the boiler there's no valve gear represented or anything like that, although we do have these springs which have been added in, which look pretty good. Along the top there is quite a lot of separately fitted detail, although none of it's made of metal. The whistles appear to be made of plastic, and the safety valve bonnet here is just really badly moulded and not very convincing at all. The smoke box is good, I must say. There's no marks on it or anything, and the dart there is separately fitted. Yeah, the handrails and lamps all look pretty good, although is that lamp bracket on the top supposed to be bent like that? Yeah, I think it probably is. I hope it certainly is. And there is at least quite a lot of detail on the running board. You can see lots of riveting going on there, as well as the separately fitted, I believe, or they're probably just a part of the cast. I'm not entirely sure, but you have the lamp irons there. There's quite a lot of detail to it, I must say, and if it had been applied properly and, once again, manufactured by someone who actually knows what they're doing and isn't going to mess the thing up and, you know, get glue all over it, it might have been a decent model. Never in a million years would it ever be worth 160 quid, and I wouldn't recommend even buying one for 99. But at least if it had been assembled properly, correctly, tidily, it might be passable. But as it is, I just can't get over how clumsy bits of it are. And with a price like that, there's just no room for that at all. I mean, even the crank pins in some places have had the paint scraped off them already, and I've certainly not done that, I can tell you that for sure. Okay, so rant over for the time being. Maybe this thing will blow us away with its performance. Here's a hint, I'm 99% sure it won't, but I'm open to it. Let's keep our fingers crossed, get it down onto the track and see if it works properly. Alright, so there it is down onto the track then, and from a distance it looks decent. It's definitely got some character. Yeah, as long as you don't get within, I would say, 3 feet of it, it looks like an alright Loco. At this point I have not yet evaluated the mechanism because, to be frank, I daren't open this up until I've actually filmed it running in case it all falls apart when I try to take the body off. So we will talk about the mechanism a bit later on. First of all, it does have all-wheel pickup. That is something I can glean without taking the thing apart because there are these wonky looking pickups going to each of the wheels. Yeah, it's got a reasonable amount of weight, as I said. I'll talk about the motor and the wheel set and the bearings later on when I've found out more about them. For now then, let's see if this thing can crawl, and I'm expecting to be blown away by this because otherwise it will be a complete rip-off in my opinion. Okay, turning up the power, let's see how this goes. Oh, it's creeping. Perhaps creeping isn't quite the right word. Okay, yeah, that looks all right. How's that? Yeah, that's pretty smooth actually, so it's looking good. I'm maybe going to say the performance is going to be pretty good on this. Right. So yeah, as always, I should say this has not yet been run in, so it's not necessarily going to be at its best, but once it's run up and down a few times on this little straight here, I will try a crawl again and see how it goes. I must say it stops dead, which means it can't have a flywheel or anything, which again, for the price, is a shame. If it was, 70 quid, that wouldn't be a problem, but you'd expect a lot of features for that money. But the crawl is very good. There we are, as you can see. So, yeah, it looks like it's a decent runner, that is for sure. Right, I'm going to get this running, but first of all, I will pop the body off and we'll take a look at some of the specs inside. Yeah, unfortunately, it just gets worse and worse. The design is ridiculously convoluted and inefficient. No wonder it was so expensive. Guess how many screws I had to take out just to get the base plate off to see the axles here? 9. 9 screws. Now, Heljan, I know I've talked before about liking screws. I like it when things are not clipped together, but usually 2 screws, maybe 3 are used to hold a base plate on, not 9. What on earth is the point of that? There are sort of 2 base plates. You've got one with the pickups on it here and another one that covers that up. What's going on with that? They're individually screwed on too. As you can see, we also have no proper bearings on the wheel set. They just sit straight onto the chassis. Cheap and nasty, except it's not cheap. It costs 160 quid. Let's whip the body off. First of all though, here's another exciting feature. If you screw the base screws in all the way, the wheels seize up. The wheels are completely seized there and the thing won't run. So in order for the wheels to be free, the screws have to be half screwed in. Loosen them off a little bit, look. There we are, that was a few turns, still seized. Oh, moved a little bit. So it probably would be best not to have these screws in at all, but I'm going to leave them in because obviously can't be taking bits off it. Right, so they're now considerably loose and only now are the wheels moving. This is just an absolute joke. Who designed this? Right, well that's moving again now. It's just laughable. Right, well it's not very free, but they weren't free to start with. Oh, the same thing's true with the base plate. I've tightened them in as far as they'll go and the wheel set is completely seized. Is it truly not going to work? It twitched. No, it's just dead. So you can't tighten any of the screws, which means they can work themselves free over time. Right, let's slacken these off a bit. I'm just getting annoyed with this. Right. You see, they're considerably loose and the wheel set's still not moving. Oh, this is insane. There we are. Well, okay. Well, they're going again now. They don't feel very free. But so be it. No, I unfortunately can't seem to get access to the motor. Can't get this part of the body off and I'm being too rough with it at the moment, so I've decided I'm not going to go any further. The cab comes off quite easily, and that's where the decoder socket is. But yeah, what sort of motor's inside here, I'm not entirely sure. The instructions, I kid you not, say pole motor. This has 1 pole motor inside it. Okay, how many poles? We may never know. But yeah, that slow crawl was okay, wasn't it? So yeah, the motor obviously isn't a problem. So just to recap then, the mechanism is crude, poorly designed, convoluted, and really difficult to get access to. No access to the motor as far as I can tell. I might have another go later on. But at this point, I can't access the motor, which means that it's more or less unserviceable. No proper bearings. You have to loosen half of the base screws before the thing will even work. At the moment, I'm just utterly shocked and disgusted by this thing. Really poor craftsmanship. Unbelievable. Alright, I'm going to leave this thing to run in for about half an hour then, and then we'll come back and do some more testing. And yes, it does stop every time it goes over the express points. Oh, goodness me. It's one of those, I think, folks. Okay, we are back, and I do apologise if my tone has been obnoxious in any way during this review. I just really am disappointed. I can't believe that I spent £100 of my money on this thing. Right, so running in wasn't too bad. It did keep stopping on points, I found, if I slowed it down to much below 50%, and these things were not fast, so that's a bit of a problem as well. As you can see, I have fitted a coupling to this. Actually, I was a bit concerned that some of the various pipes would be in the way of the coupling, but I needn't have worried because, fortunately, in Heljan's usual style, it just broke off as I was doing it, so that was fine. It's also a reasonably good puller, 0.25 newtons, which should allow it to haul around 17 coaches on straight and level track, which is very good due to all of its weight, of course. And the only thing to do now is to try that crawl again and see if it's any good. This is after I've taken it apart, so hopefully it will still be able to crawl now that I've reassembled it, although yeah, it's not really my fault that it's so badly designed that the screws have to be halfway loose before the thing works. But no, as you can see, yes, that crawl is very good. Yeah, very, very good. In fact, I'm surprised. I will just try that over the express points. Oh no, it's still going. At the higher speeds, it sounds a bit like a tractor. It goes bup, 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 bup. And you can see it sort of lurching. I don't know if that... Yeah, you can actually. Hopefully you can see that on camera. Not in reverse, but forward you can hear it too. You hear that? It's not exactly healthy. Right, let me show you what happens on the points then. Right, let me just bring it into shot for you. Here it comes. Oh, well, I didn't even have to crawl before it would stop. Yeah, as you can see, the wheelbase is way larger than the dead zone of the express point, so it's got no reason to stop, really. Let's try that once more. A bit faster this time. Yeah, so it seems true that this thing is more or less useless in every way I can imagine. But I have set up some wagons, as you can see, and the pulling power doesn't seem to be a problem for a change, which is pretty good. So I'm going to reverse this up. Oh yeah, it's stopped, hasn't it? There we go, and get it coupled. All right. Well, are the couplings at the right height? Have they engaged correctly? No, it's too low, and it's gone underneath the coupling on the other wagon. Now, is that the wagon's fault or the Loco's fault? Can you see that? Let me just get a different wagon to confirm. Right, this is an Oxford one. I know the coupling's at the right height on this. No, I kind of feel sorry for Heljan because they just seem incapable of doing anything right. Yeah, okay, I've managed to get that one to couple. It is still too low, the coupling on the engine, but it seems closer for that one. Yeah, that's insane. Why is it so low? Right, well, the Oxford it is then. The coupling hook doesn't engage, as you can see. Let's do a bit more of that. Yeah, just to ram the point home that this thing is as useless as I'm saying. It ain't coupling. Try again. No. Hey, there we go. So imagine that while you're shunting, folks. 10th time lucky, and the job's a good one. Anyway, let's get this thing started, and then we can go and do something else. Like jump into a pond full of piranhas and be eaten alive. That sounds fun, suddenly. Right, there we go. As you can see, it's hauling pretty well. So today's theme is locos that are cheaper and better than this one, so naturally I've got quite a lot of choice. It's stopped on the express points, obviously. But anyway, first loco is the Hornby Terrier. Just to remind you, this loco was £65 cheaper on the RRP. Insane stuff. Yeah, this is not perfect, but it's still better. So there we go, that is the Hornby Terrier. And then on the inside line, we have the Hatton's P-Class. This particular engine is £60 less than the RRP, and it is, accordingly, not superior in every single way, particularly mechanism. So there we go, enjoy the running session if you can, and we'll see if the Heljan 1361 has blown up yet. Yeah, I'm not happy, folks, and I'm sorry to be negative, but at this point I'm even considering sending it back because it's so poor. But on the plus side, if I keep it, it could fall victim to another one of my experiments, which is at the moment the only positive side I can see to keeping this around. But let me know in the poll, is this a good loco or not? I'd be interested to know what you guys think, although I don't think I'll be surprised. To be honest though, it doesn't look terrible as it runs along. It looks alright, and I can see some people quite liking this, you know, if they haven't got a great eye and they don't ever try and take the thing apart. But don't be fooled, once you start looking up close, you can really see the cracks, and I mean that literally. And now some ratings for this horrible waste of my money. Our detail, as you can see, I've given quite a high score. Most of the detail was pretty poorly realised, but there was a lot of it. The cab wasn't absolutely amazing, and you know, there wasn't any valve gear or anything like that, so I can't give it 5-star. But the level of detail was generally okay. Similarly, the performance wasn't too bad. The slow crawl is pretty excellent, and it is reasonably capable of hauling a decent load. However, it's not that smooth. It sort of lurches along as it goes at the higher speeds, and it keeps cutting out on all of my point work. It's really annoying. It's got no reason to, and I've got 040s that do a better job on points. So just a 3-star on the performance. The power is very good for a Loco of this size. It generally beats the other 060s that I have of a similar weight and size, so that's pretty good. The mechanism though is just atrocious, really awful. No proper bearings, so many screws to get the thing apart, and if you over tighten any of them, the thing just locks up and doesn't work properly. Can't get access to the motor. It's just a horrible, nasty, cheap mechanism. Not even sure if it's got a 5-pole motor or not. Even if it has though, it doesn't matter. An abysmal mechanism. The quality is similarly abysmal. Given the price, I was expecting a full die-cast at least saddle tank. Nothing like that at all. It's very, very plasticky. The detail has been badly glued on in places. The die-cast work that is there looks horrendous. It's absolutely awful build quality. And also the design, the quality of the design is obnoxious. Taking that base plate apart, I realised what a nasty piece of work this was. For the money, it's insane. And that takes us on to value. Now, £159.95 for the RRP is an absolute joke. When you think what you can get for that money, you can get Hornby tender engines for that, which are 5 times the size. It's just insane. Now, the retailers tend to sell this for about £135.99, and as I said at the start, Rails of Sheffield sold me mine for £99.50. To be honest, even though those are much better than the RRP, I still wouldn't recommend spending anywhere close to that amount of money on one of these because they just don't meet the mark. So unfortunately, that is probably one of my worst scores ever. This model could have been forgiven if the RRP was £100 and it was being sold for 80, 85, but as it is, the expectations were not met, and as a result, this is a very poor model indeed. Into the logbook then, there we go, 7th bottom, just below the Bachmann 43XX, and there it will stay, hopefully as a fitting punishment. Oh, every time without fail, come on. Ugh. It's so irritating. Well, I know which Loco I'd rather run, folks. Never mind, folks, you win some and you lose some, and I guess some you throw down the stairs because you can't believe how bad they are. But either way, yeah, it's not always going to be positive, is it? And that's why we do these things. Oh, come on. To iron out the kinks, as it were. But yeah, unfortunately, this cannot get my recommendation. I don't think I needed to say that, really, but yeah, unfortunately, that is true. Oh well, not to worry. Let me know in the comments what you think anyway. Have you got one of these? Are your experiences the same? Are they different? If they're different, congratulations. If they're the same, I'm very sorry to hear that. But either way, I hope you enjoyed that. It was an education, wasn't it, if nothing else. Hopefully, next review will be a better Loco, hopefully. And I will see you very soon. So thanks for your company, folks. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. All right, cheers, everybody.